Hello, this is Anil with a video tutorial for the Learning Lad on C programming. In this video tutorial, we're gonna see the variable scope in C. Variable scope is nothing but the region where our variable is available. So there are two types of scopes. One is called a global scope, and another one is called the local scope. When a variable has a global scope, that variable is available to all the functions in the file. So we can also call it as a file scope. So to use a variable as a global scope variable, then we have to declare it outside of this all the functions. So a variable has a local scope when it is declared inside a function, or inside these two curly braces, or block of codes. Okay, now let's see it in detail. First of all, in my main function, I'm gonna create a variable a. So since this a is within this main function, this a is available only within this main function. Suppose we have a function which is or increment here, then the variable a is not available in this increment function, just because this variable a has a local scope. So we can use this variable in this main function only. What if we want to use a variable in the main function as well as in the increment function? So for that, we need to define a variable in the global scope. For that, we have to declare it outside all these functions. So we're gonna declare this variable after these preprocessor directives. I'm gonna declare a variable called b outside all these functions, and I'm gonna assign it with a value of 0. And now we're gonna use this variable b in main function as well as in our increment function. We're gonna use a printf function to display that. First we're gonna write %d, a new line, then refer this variable as b. So just copy this statement and paste it here. First we need to call this increment function from this main function to view the value of b in both the functions, and also we need to do this function prototyping. So I'm going to copy this and paste here and add a semicolon. So prototyping is done. Then we need to call this function increment. So increment, that's it. Now we're gonna say from main here, then we're gonna say from increment, and now save it, compile it and run it. So as you can see here, from the main function this value of b is 0, and from this increment function this value of b is 0. What if we increment this value in this main function? So first we're gonna print the b value, then we're gonna increment this, that's gonna be b plus plus. Then save it, compile it and run it. Now from the main function the value of b is 0, just because we use this printf to print the value of b before incrementing. So from the increment function we have this value of b equal to 1. That's because in the main function this value was incremented, and that is a global variable, and when we change this global variable in any of the functions, then that change will be reflected in all the functions. So close it. Another thing I want to explain you is about the variable names. So in the main function we have a variable or the local variable called a. Then we can also have the same variable in some other function, maybe a function called display, and we can have the same variable here, and the values of this variable if in this display and the variable a in this main will be independent of each other. So in the main function our a may contain a value equal to 10, then we're gonna print it from a. The value of a is a new line, then refer this variable a, then it's from the main function, then comment this out comment this all the codes about the variable b, comment this increment statement also. So now in the display function also we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna copy this printf function and we're gonna write here. Okay, we're gonna assign this a equal to 20, and here we're gonna write from this display function. Then we need to call this display function, and for that, before that, we have to prototype this display function. We're gonna do that by copy and pasting here, add a semicolon, then we're gonna call this display function. Here I'm gonna call it. We have to remove this void from here. Now save it, compile it and run it. So now as you can see, from the main the value of a is 10, and from the display function the value of a is 20. So the name of the variable is same, that's the a, but the value is different in different functions. Another thing I want to tell you is, what if we declare a local variable here in the display function with a name with the same name as this global variable, let's say b, and I'm gonna assign it with a value of 30. So let's print this value. I'm gonna copy and paste here, and I'm gonna write from this display function b is, okay, save it, okay, compile it and run it. So as you can see here, from the display b is 30, just because when we execute this display function, when that display function encounters the variable b, first it's gonna search for that variable b in its local scope. If that variable is found in the local scope, then it's gonna use that variable from the local scope. Suppose that variable is not present here, okay, let's comment it out. Now this display function will search for the variable b in the global scope. So here that b is present, that's why it's gonna use this b variable and print the value 0 here. So if this variable b is not present in its global scope also, then it's gonna raise an error. So let's save this work and compile it and run it. So now as you can see, from the display b is 0, that's because from the global scope that b value is 0. So this is it guys, this is about the variable scope in C. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next tutorial.